students, hope all are doing well. So we have already discussed about the second chapter, the first kingdom. What was that? It was Kingdom Monera, isn't it? Now we are moving on to the next kingdom. What is the kingdom? It is Kingdom Protesta. Okay. So in this Kingdom Protesta, as well as today we will discuss another one kingdom, Kingdom Fungi. These two kingdoms, when you are saying, we are going to discuss about characteristic features of the same and its classification. Okay, characteristics means what? Like what are the different features they are possessing. Now regarding Protista, mainly speaking, they are unicellular eukaryotic. Unicellular, eukaryotic means what? They have a well-defined nucleus. Now fungi, when you are seeing, you are having characteristics as they can be like unicellular as well as they are multicellular, having different types of thallus structures, and they are heterotrophic in nature. Heterotrophic means they cannot prepare their own food. Why? Because they do not have chlorophyll. Okay. So we will be learning the characteristics of Protista. We will be learning the characteristics of fungi one by one. With the slide I will be explaining you. Now moving on to the classification of this Protista, it is divided into 5. Okay. 5 groups. So what are the groups? One is chrysophytes, second one is dinoflagellates, third is euglenoids, fourth is slime molds, and the fifth one is protozoans. Okay. Now moving on to the kingdom fungi, how it is being classified? It is being classified into Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. Okay. So these are, so again I repeat, Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. So these are the different classification of what the fungi. Clear? So one by one with the diagram I will be explaining you the different divisions. Means you can find the different categories of what? Your Protista as well as your fungi. Okay? Yes, so the second kingdom what we are going to discuss is Kingdom Protista. Okay? So moving on to this Kingdom Protista, the first thing is that characteristics of Protista. What are the different characteristics of Kingdom Protista? First is what? They are eukaryotic in nature. What do you mean by the term eukaryotic? Means they are having a nuclear membrane. Okay, and the Protistans are mostly unicellular in organism. Okay, what is the difference between Monera and Protista then? Protista is also unicellular, Monera is also unicellular, but Monera is prokaryotic and this Protistans are eukaryotic, which means they have a nuclear membrane, well defined nucleus. Okay, the Protist kingdom is a dumping ground. Dumping ground means the scientists, when they find out that if an organism is found and they are finding it is a unicellular, heterotrophic, as well as they are eukaryotic in nature usually. Okay, so eukaryotic and unicellular it is found means, and if it is not adjusting with any of the categories, then they used to dump it in this category. Which category? The Protistants. Okay, that's why it is referred to as what? A dumping ground. Okay. Now these were the Protistants' characteristics. These are the diagram showing some Protistants, right? Now classification of Protista, when you are seeing, it has been classified into 5. I told you. What are they? Chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoa. Okay. So starting with the first one, chrysophytes. They are otherwise named as golden algae. What is the other name for this chrysophyte? It is also called as what? The golden algae. Okay. So diatoms. Diatoms, when you see, you can find innumerable structures are present. Different varieties are there of diatoms. Okay. So these diatoms, when you are seeing, these diatoms are called as jewels of the plant kingdom, because you can find jewelries, what designs they have, fashion technology, even they are using the structure of the diatoms for designing different types of dress materials for making jewels and all. These diatoms are used as what? As a reference source. That much nature has given plenty of diatoms with different varieties, which is a very good what is that? Acting as a very good reference for making different types of things like dresses or jewelries, cosmetic items. Okay, so this is regarding diatoms. Chrysophytes. Okay, now this chrysophytes characteristics we are going to learn. Okay, what are the characteristics? The first is that it includes diatoms and golden algae. Most of them are fresh water, means they live in the fresh water, okay, without salt. Some are marine, means they live in salty water. They are microscopic unicellular, so it will be microscopic, and float passively. Passively means they are not actively involved in flow, okay, where along with the water current they can flow from one place to another, okay. And mostly they are photosynthetic in nature, means autotrophs, they can prepare their own food. Cell wall is having two thin overlapping shells like a soap box, okay, one cell and another one cell, okay. So like that you can find as a soap box it is, okay. And the walls, it's embedded with what? Silica deposit. What is deposited over the outer covering? It is silica deposit. That's why it is indestructible. So all of a sudden it will not break fast, okay. They are much harder in texture. And diatoms have left behind large. So these diatoms, when they die, okay, many diatoms die. So in the seas and all, when these diatoms die, these shell will be present, right, the outer covering, soap dipper. So that cell, when you are seeing, that will be gradually settling down, and they form a mountain like structure on the top. That we call it as what? Under the sea they are forming a structure, mountain like structures called as diatomaceous earth. What do we call them? We call it as diatomaceous earth. So diatoms left over, they settle down, and these cell wall materials are getting settled down, and they are forming a huge structure. We call it as what? The diatomaceous earth, okay. And this diatomaceous earth is being utilized. We people are taking that diatomaceous earth, taking that part of the dead diatoms, and we are using it for various purposes. We are using it for polishing some things and all, like scrubbers and all, you polish, isn't it? Some stone pieces and all there which you polish, it will be very good, like that, for polishing, for filtration of oils, as filters they are acting, okay. Diatoms can be used as filters, so filtering substances. It can act as filters for making different types of syrups and all. We are using what? We are using this diatoms, okay. So chrysophytes, golden algae, some of the characteristics, just by her the characteristics. In this very important question is, what is diatomaceous earth and what is its use, okay. Now moving on to dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates are major component of marine phytoplankton, floating plants. Phytoplankton means what? Floating plants. Marine means they are found in the sea, okay. These algae at least have two flagella. How many flagella is present? So you can find this is an algae, means they are having how many flagella? Two flagella will be present, okay. Two flagella set at right angles to each other. One is at right angles to other, okay. So one will be at right angles to other, and they have thick walls which is made up of cellulose. What they are made up of? They are made up of thick cellulosic cell walls. Cellulose is a form of carbohydrate they are made up of. Blooms of dinoflagellates are called as, so this dinoflagellates are red in color, and when they multiply in huge amount under some conditions, if they are getting much amount of nutrients and all, they multiply and they form a red tide like structure. You can find red, the area is turning into, okay, means they are multiplying at an alarming rate, as algal bloom I told, right. So here when you are seeing this, when these algae, when they multiply, since it is red in color, the whole area turns what? Red in nature, that whole area, the nearby, wherever it is present. So that area we call it as what? The red tide, okay. And this red tide are releasing toxic, they release what? Much amount of toxic, which can cause the death of many marine fishes. That is the disadvantage of what? The dinoflagellates. Example for that is also given. Goni oilox is an example for the one who is releasing toxin to killing many fishes, right. Yes. Now moving on to the next one is your dinoflagellates diagram. You can find the dinoflagellates will be like this, okay. The flagella and all you can find, right. Dinoflagellates, usually they have two flagellas, right. By that only they are having the name. This is the red tide. You can find how the structure is. Yes. So this red tide is causing the death of many marine fishes. Clear? Yeah. Effect of red tide, you can see many fishes are being killed. Clear? Next, moving on to euglenoids. Euglenoids is the next category of protistans. Majority are freshwater. Freshwater, yes. Instead of cell wall, they have a protein layer. Okay, so the cell is not having cell wall, rather the cell is having an outer layer called as what? Pellicle. What is the name of that layer? Pellicle. Okay, and it is flexible. It's not hard. It is flexible. It can easily move, stretchable. Okay. Though photosynthetic, when deprived of sunlight, they behave as heterotrophs. Mostly they are photosynthetic in nature, which means they can prepare their own food with the help of light. But if they are going deep under, sometimes the availability of sunlight is not available. In that case, they derive nutrition from others. That's why they may be autotrophic or can be heterotrophic, but mostly they are autotrophic in nature. Okay. And pigments, they are having the same pigments like chlorophyll, carotenoids, anthophylls. All these things are similar to higher plants. What are the pigments they have? These euglenoids are also having the same pigments. Okay, so this is an example for euglena, a form of euglenoid. You can find, yes. So flagellum is present. They are storing polysaccharides, food. Okay, contractile vacuole. Just the structure you go through, not that important. So again, this is euglena. The next protestant is the fourth one, slime molds. Okay, they are saprophytic, means what? They depend on dead decaying matter for their food. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves and engulfing all the organic matter present over there. So their body, they prefer moving towards what? The dead decaying substances. They move towards that. They used to decompose it and take the nutrition out of it. Okay. Under suitable condition, they form an aggregation. So when they are getting all the nutrient material, favorable condition, they form clusters. They divide and form a colony like. Okay, so that one we call it as what? Plasmodium, which may grow and spread over several feet. So it is growing and it can several feet, means 1 feet, you know how much it is. So like several feet you can find they are forming a layer. They are developing a means a layer like. Okay. During unfavorable condition, the plasmodium differentiates and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores at their tips. So when the conditions are favorable, they go on multiplying. But when the and they form a cover area, a sheet like structure, they will be forming. Okay. But when there is unfavorable conditions, they form, in order to escape that unfavorable condition, they form fruiting bodies. Okay, fruiting bodies called as what? Spores. So spores, what is the characteristics? The spores, round structure, they have a thick outer coat. Okay, this thick outer coat will make them good, means for them the unfavorable condition outside will not affect, because they are protected inside by this spore coat. When you are seeing, their coat is helping them in giving them, protecting them from the unfavorable condition, because it's very hard, so the unfavorable condition will not get in. Okay, whether it is heat or whatever the reason, salt, whatever it is, the spores are acting as what? A protective cover. Clear? So unfavorable condition, they form fruiting bodies called as what? Spores. Okay, these spores possess two walls. They are extremely resistant. Resistant means, you know, they will not allow anything to get in, and for several years they can stay like that. Under unfavorable condition, the spores will be like that. And the spores, round bodies, isn't it? Unicellular round bodies, they can be dispersed by air from one place to another. Wherever they are finding favorable condition, they will start multiplying there. Okay, the spore wall will break and they will come out and they will start multiplying in the favorable condition. Okay, so that one we call it as what? The slime molds. Now moving on to the slime molds diagram, you can find this is slime molds. This diagram you can find, right? This is the fruiting body. Inside the fruiting body, so this is the fruiting body, like this it is. Inside the fruiting body, what is present? The spores are present. When they are getting, so when the spores are grown up, they will, this fruiting body will break, the spores will be present in the air. From the air, the spores will be taken to various different places, and there, if they are getting favorable condition, they will start growing. Okay, so that is regarding slime molds. So here plasmodial slime molds, you can find, I told you, several feet they will be going on multiplying and forming. Okay, so this is plasmodial slime molds. So favorable conditions are, they will go on multiplying. Many dust like structures will be formed, having different colors and based on the pigments. And when unfavorable condition, they will form fruiting bodies, spores. Okay, So this is Plasmodium cyanodes favorable condition. Okay. Now moving on to the last category, protozoans. Protist in the last category is protozoans. Heterotroph, they cannot prepare their own food. They are predators. Predators means, you know, they will attack a prey, have it as food, or they are parasite. They go into living organism, then they stay there, taking the nutrition from them. Okay. They are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. So protozoans are the animals and protozoans, there is a link. They are thinking that animals would have, multicellular animals would have evolved from whom? These protozoans. Okay. There are 4 major groups. One is amoeboid protozoan, amoeba like, flagellated having flagella, ciliated protozoan having cilia, sporozoans spore like. Okay. Now moving on to the first one, amoeboid protozoan. These organisms live in fresh water, sea water, moist soil. Okay, somewhat soil is wet, they can stay there. They move and capture the prey with the help of pseudopodia. Okay, so amoeba you would have learned in your lower class, right? They have an irregular shape. Now imagine there is a food present over here. Okay, so what the amoeba will do? Amoeba will move towards. They can change their shape. Will move towards there. Thereafter they will engulf the food, digest it. Okay, so like that, with the help of what they are moving from one place to another. So this is an amoeba, means on the outer wall of the amoeba there are structures present, we call it as what? Pseudopodia, false feet. Okay, that on seeing the food, the pseudopodia will press and try to push itself towards the food. Okay, so like that they are moving towards the food and engulfing the food and digesting it inside and then taking the nutrients. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. So marine amoebas, protozoans are having what? Silica covering over the surface. Okay. Some of them like Entamoeba histolytica are parasitic. Parasitic means they cause diseases like amoebic dysentery. Okay, amoebic dysentery, or we call it as amoebiasis, is caused by what? This Entamoeba. It is a form of protista. Okay. So protozoan, fine. Now moving on to this protozoan, amoeboid protozoan you have seen. So protozoans, all protozoans are, yeah fine, this one is over. This is example for amoeba. Okay, sorry, the diagram for amoeba. Now moving on to flagellated protozoan, the next type. Members of this group are free living. They can live alone or they are parasitic. Parasitic means they depend on living organism for food. They get into the living organism and flagellated. So what do they have? So they will be having flagella. What will be present? Flagella. Okay. The parasitic forms are causing diseases like what? Sleeping sickness, trypanosoma are diseases which are caused by whom? This flagellated protozoans, right? Next is your flagellates are generally smallest. They are believed to be the smallest. Which one have have one or several long whip-like projection. I told you they are having what? Whip-like projection. These whip-like projection we call it as what? The flagella. Okay. So from their cell whip-like projections comes out. So this is the whip-like projection coming out. We call it what? Flagella. This flagella only, the flagella will be moving like this, like this. So like that they will be moving from one place to another. Okay. So flagella is helping in flagella movement, moving from one place to another. So this is an example for Giardia, the flagellate. You can find flagella is present. Yes, so these are other flagellas which is helping in what? The movement from one place to another. They push like this and they will be moving. Okay. Yeah, so this is again causing diseases. Okay. So African sleeping sickness is also caused by this protozoan, flagellated protozoan. Next is your ciliated. Ciliated means what? They have cilia, presence of cilia. So like for example paramecium. So this one is paramecium. You can find many like this. You can find the projections are present. Okay. So this one we call it as what? The cilia. Fiber like projections will be present. We call it as what? We call it as cilia. They have a cavity that opens outside of the cell surface. Means they have a cavity. What do we call it as? We call it as the gullet. Okay. So which is opening outside the cell surface, and the cilia, when you are seeing, all the cilia will be moving towards one direction. Like for example, if the paramecium or the ciliated protozoan want to move front, means all the cilias will be moving towards back. Okay, so they will be moving towards front. Now if the cilia want to move back, means all the cilias will be beating towards the front. Now this organism will be moving back. Okay, so a coordinated movement of cilia is helping in movement, and the cavity which is present, that is helping in what? Taking the food inside. After digesting the gullet, through that the food, the waste materials are also put outside. So for like that they are helping in somewhat digestive part. Okay, so this is the structure of paramecium. You can find gullet, you can see outside, opening outside. Okay, so through that the exchange of materials can take place. Clear? So this is again example for what? It's an example for ciliated organisms. Okay, cilia you can find this one. Okay, fine. The last one is sporozoans. This includes diverse organisms. Mostly they are having infectious spore like structure in their life cycle. Okay, Plasmodium you have learned, isn't it? It is causing what? It is the parasite, it is the protozoan which is causing what? Malaria. Okay, which is carried by the mosquito. Vector is the mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito, which is causing what? Malaria. Sporozoan type of protozoan is only causing what? The malaria. Okay, so malaria, they need two hosts for causing, isn't it? So what are the two hosts? One is the mosquito, another one is the human. Okay, so the Plasmodium is the protozoan which is causing malaria. It is carried to humans by whom? Female Anopheles mosquito. Mosquito comes and bite, protozoa is getting into my body, Plasmodium is getting into my body, and it is causing the disease. Okay, so this is having a dangerous effect. Sometimes it is fatal also. Okay, so hope today's topic Protista is clear. I thought I will complete fungi also today, but it will be a bit long. So with this I stop for today. Thank you. Fungi we will be discussing in the next class. So everyone, thank you. Bye.